keeping track of your services in a Kubernetes cluster can be challenging. And this is why Coralogix APM is amazing and is so compatible with Kubernetes, general Kubernetes workflows, practices, but also technologically as well. So we'll go to the APM dashboard here. We can see a number of services that are available. All these services have done is ingested OpenTelemetry metrics and traces and logs. That's all they've done. There's nothing special here or bespoke that you have to do in order to make this work with Coralogix. Coralogix works with entirely open source standards. So we can see here that we have a bunch of different applications. There's some really nice use cases you can do here. For example, sorting by errors. You can see what's erroring the most, see which SLOs have been breached, and so on. I'll pick the front end. It's got the most errors and a very high volume of requests as well. So when we open this up, we can see a whole breakdown of various different statistics. And by the way, this APM view, a full tutorial is available in the Getting to Know Coralogix course. So again, I'm not going to explore every single widget that you see on the screen. I'm just going to look into the sort of the more Kubernetes and DevOpsy kind of use case. See a number of key metrics here around, I think it's a really interesting one here is the AppDex score. Strongly recommend you look into that, but it's a breakdown of the usability of your service based on latency and expected latency and things like that. And we see request and error volumes, latency, and so on. What we can then see is the requests that this application is receiving. So these are all the endpoints on which the front end is being invoked, and the dependencies. So this is the endpoints that the front end is invoking in other services, which is super cool. So automatically you see a breakdown of which services are dependent on which others. And of course you get this amazing maps view, which I love. So this will show the relationship between the front end, what's invoking it, and what it invokes, including which ones are breaching their SLOs right now, which is so cool. I love that so much. It gives you like a really nice break. Okay, something's really going wrong with the currency service. It has 4 SLOs and one of them is okay, 3 of them have been breached. SLOs can be defined really easily here. So we can see a whole breakdown of different SLOs here, with latencies greater than 1 millisecond, for example. Or we can see the number of errors on the front end as broken down here. So we can see that our error budget is being exceeded, which is a problem, of course. And these are all the traces that are triggering that breach in the SLO. So all about that golden signals, SRE style management of your cluster. This is really, really useful for that. Of course, it also brings together many different important metrics and things. So for example, here's the logs for the service. And you can actually go straight to your log query. So you can actually explore the logs in the explore screen. So you can see here now I've just opened this up and it's filtered by front end and service and front end. So we know all the different ways that front end can be queried. And now we can start exploring the logs in a more fully featured way. We can also see the Kubernetes resources. So the CPU, the memory. This is the actual pod metrics that are actually being produced here. And what's really cool about this is, for example, if we go to dependencies, I can pick any one of these. So for example, I can say, okay, give me the highest number of errors. I can say, okay, this is a very slow, half of the errors are failing. Wow, okay, so let's open that up. So we open this up, and what we do is we get a really nice breakdown of all of the different traces. If I slow this down again, I can say, well, this one's 2 seconds long. So if I open up this particular trace, it will give me a really nice breakdown of every single thing that's been going on in the actual, in my system. And look how cool this is. It's a breakdown of everything that you can see. And of course, you don't just have to view it in this way. You can also view it in the Flame view and the Gantt view. Again, I'm not going to dive into this because it's available in the Getting to Know Coralogix course. But from a Kubernetes perspective, just being able to see this map is so, so useful. It's so powerful. And of course, if we hit related data here, we're going to break down things like logs, but also the pod metrics. So the actual CPU, the P95 for span, things like that, CPU, memory, network in, network out, and the host metrics. Super powerful, because if you see, as we do in this particular instance here, we can see that this is a very, very slow trace. Something is taking a really long time here. So we can see this whole route up here, 1.97 seconds. Something went wrong here that took a really, really long time. So what we can do is we can explore the resources for this particular endpoint here and say, well, was the CPU high? Was the memory high? And not just for the pod, was the host on which the pod was running having trouble? So this is really, really nice because it gives you a really cool breakdown, not just from a general application perspective, but from a Kubernetes perspective as well. Kubernetes data is built into this UI. It's gorgeous. And most importantly as well, of course, is you get all this lovely metadata on the side as well. So you can see all the different tags, SDK languages and things like that. So what we're doing is we're bridging the gap between the services that are running on your cluster and the underlying infrastructure. And that's so important for a DevOps and SRE professional, because it's not enough just to know that this is a Golang app or something. It's really important to know the profile of this application. How is it behaving? How has its memory been behaving? And so on. And this joins all that data together beautifully and makes it really, really easy for you to diagnose issues, especially important when you're trying to work out, is something wrong with the app? Is something wrong with the underlying infrastructure? This kind of workflow is so powerful for that. So strongly recommend you explore this. It fits the Kubernetes use case so well. And in a later part to this course, what we're going to do is we're going to show some really common debug flows with Kubernetes, and that's going to make it really easy for you to bring this into your workflow from day one and get instant value.